So we're going to just move through what we shared yesterday, another teaching based on Armageddon and Apocalypse. And we're going to do it in a different format, so we're not so jumpy on our presentation. My heart is not to lose anyone, as I know yours as well, but we want to bring clarity, and we're just working on our overflow to really combat what's really coming on the earth right now. And we know that there's two dynamics in play. And the higher narrative, the lesser narrative gives way to the higher narrative, but that's only really in the dynamic if you comprehend the higher dynamic. And we know that there's much stuff going out right now on a perspective of potential harm that's coming on the earth, but for those that have prepared the vessel, it doesn't, and it's not for them. That this is what's going on right now. So I just want to make sure that what we're doing in the releasing of our information is that we are trying to be as clear as we can with the frequency of the words. So I want to be crystal clear up front that Armageddon, Abaddon, Tiamat, Apocalypse, Ouroboros, these are all the same things. They're all resonances of potential that are moving in degrees until we become the completed of intention. And so if we can see it correctly, we can really realize this is an inward battle, and we're just healing our own hearts. We're reparenting ourselves, that we're getting heart-brain coherence, that we're able to see, hear, and activate correctly. So I'll just do a quick recap on, you have the notes as I have the notes. We have that same notes, so we can just keep on board with this. So I just wanted to recap real quick. We can run through this. That's Armageddon in Greek, Har-Megiddo. And we know in the Hebrew that we see mountain of Megiddo. But what we missed in the last teaching was, and I highlighted on mine, is Abaddon, and it's Strong's number 12. And so we've already gone through this. So on this recap, I want to connect with why they have Abaddon there, connected to Megiddo. So I want to shed light on that. So we can just go down, we can see that we have that 4:0, we got Migdal, we have Tower that's connected to 1431. You have the side notes right there. We can see that it's connected to 4023b, which is connected to forgetting Manasseh, a place in Manasseh, which is forgetting. And then we have what Mother teaches us, the inclinational steps of humility's resolve. This is what we're doing. And then we're going down to 12, and you have it down there. You should have it there as destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And this is tied to Abaddon, where they know that I think it's in Revelation 9. I forgot to put it in your file, but this really ties to power and father, because we know Ab is father, Strong's 1, and then it's Strong's 11, Abaddon, which is power. And so strong power is coming out of the pit. Okay? And this is the destruction. It's not destruction on the lesser narrative. Destruction on the higher narrative is that we have broken down our own selves, so the greater may be revealed. And this is what we're doing through really the part of our Ouroboros nature, is we're chasing the tail of the night and the morning continually until we have rendered clear the completion of light and dark as one, right? Outside of the envelope of time, in the parentheses of what we're in right now, there is no night or day. It just simply is. In here, we have the wrestle of night and day, but the only reason we have night and day is because we already were dark, which really means you already were deep, the black. And so we're brought into the experience of time. This is why the Spirit even hovered over the face of the deep. We are the face of the deep when we are in Shalom, and the Spirit is our face. And we go through our day chasing the night and the day, and then in the night we seek out, we search out, and then we wrestle the night for the sake of the morning, becoming the morning dawn, and then we go through our day in the revelation. So it's kind of a dynamic that we can kind of unfold here. But I just don't want to miss that about that word being in there. And
and it's Abaddon, the
right.
Father Judge.
Absolutely. It's the completed power of Father Judge. Absolutely. Yes, it is. It's I have it, let me see here, going to another file. If everyone wants to look up, you can see it. It's in Strong's 114, and it means powerful, and that is Abaddon. And it's directly connected to the judges. And we can see it in Nehemiah 7:61. There's only one occurrence of it.
Did you want me to pull it up?
If you want to, I forgot to put it in your file, so I apologize. So you have it there. We can see that these are the powerful judges, and it roots out at Strong's 113, which is really Lord, right? It's sovereignty.
Right, and I think it's Addon, right? Okay, but in that one verse, it's cherub.
Yeah, in the Nehemiah 761, it is cherub, absolutely, and
that is powerful.
Right, and
hence why you could say that the celestials are powerful.
Yeah, and if you want to go into it, do you have the ability to go into it?
Yeah, I was looking at Addon first. Addon being Lord.
It's not
which it has to do with sovereignty, if I remember correctly, a sovereign.
Right. Yeah, in Nehemiah 7:61.
Yeah, a sovereign. Yep.
Yep. So again, we can take the spooky out of Abaddon. It's just a name, and that's a Greek name, but this is broken down, written down in Hebrew now. It's Abaddon, Father as Judge, and that's what's coming back on the earth. But the lesser narrative has said,
they've called it Apollyon.
Right, because that's Greek, Apollyon, right. And in the next teaching, we can break down, when we start rendering down, we'll break down Apollyon and what that, because this is breaking down Apollyon as well. This is just another degree of it. But let's go into the file to see what this Abaddon is. So let's go into Nehemiah 7:61.
And these, the ones who came up from Tel Melach, Tel Charash,
Cherub, Abaddon,
Cherub, Addon, Immer. But they could identify house of their father nor their lineage, whether of Israel they were.
Right. So when we go through this thing, we can see that, let's start from the top. So, and there is no and, these. It's these.
Yeah. Right, they just, the Vav is saying that it's an and.
Right. Right. So sovereignty is, or the humility is, right, as El, the revelation of El.
And we've got a diamond, so that's a quadration, meaning a gift from God.
Right. And then
these L's that have revelation and will be revealed, that are connected to Mother in humility, are a gift from God.
And then it's not the one, there's not the ones that came up. It's that, well, it is like these ones came up. These ones, now they have, these are the ascended.
Right, because it's from Allah, which means to ascend, to be the highest.
Right. So we have the revelation of ascension.
Right. The ones who were pierced within their heart, connected to their heart.
Right.
And then we have Yod Mem, which is of the seas. This is directly connected to Asherah.
Right.
The Queen of Heaven.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, because they've ascended to become the Queen of Heaven,
right. So
into the waters above.
So these are the teachings of love. They've gone through the teachings of love, and now these are, right? And so now they're like, and this is really interesting because they're from, right, completed, full, with love in their heart. That we have.
Oh, because it's Mem Lamed, which means Mala. This is exactly what we were talking about this morning with the Tav on the inside.
Right.
This is the activation of the 13th chakra.
This is a completed mother.
The third Tav.
Who is filled up in love in her heart.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
But technically it is mother and father.
Well, yeah.
Because the mem is
when
the
I
same.
say, just so people hear me, like, just for inculcation again, when I say completed mother, I mean you are the completed journey in the earth, but we haven't manifested into the light vessel. You haven't shed off this
lesser earth suit.
Right, which was really defining as the transference from life into life, and we haven't shed that yet. So it's just a complete
Well, and
mother.
that's because death is attached to this flesh suit.
Right.
Right? It has an expiration date.
Right, and we're going to try to explain death in this too as we go a little bit. Hopefully, we can do that. But
well, right there from
yeah,
Mem Tav.
Yeah,
that's death. Death to light.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And but again, I need to explain it in a way. But there's a lot in this because this mound of salt means you're like fully.
Well, they don't even know that yet because they don't know what the next word.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say that, but you said it. So malach means salt, a mound of salt.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because really what it is, and there's a lot in this, because this is really going into plasma. Like this is full. You remove the water out of the vessel, right? Because that's how you shake the skin. But then we're put into light, and this is really through sublimination into ionization into plasma.
Right.
And this is how we go up and down through desublimation back into form. This is what the transference of light back into form.
So this allows us to transcend in and out of different dimensions with an earth suit or without.
Yeah, we can just bypass there is a supernatural evaporation, but we don't go through the process. Like this is spiritual alchemy.
Yep.
We don't necessarily, we kind of bypass the dehydration, right, into cloud, but yet we do, but it's like a snap of the fingers and we go right into sublimination and then we transfer right into ionization into plasma.
So we actually literally change our entire vessel into light.
Entire vessels into light. And that's done through the salt process. And this is why in the higher narrative of when Lot's wife turned, she was a pillar of salt.
Right.
I don't really see from the higher narrative there was something greater going on.
Yes.
She did not want to leave with Lot. Lot was in a lesser estate.
Exactly. Which they twisted and turned and made it like she was.
Yeah, no, he was fearful.
Exactly, and she wasn't.
And she turned, and so the story in the lesser narrative says one thing. Not disagreeing with it. I'm simply saying from the higher perspective, to be turned into a pillar of salt is an amazing thing.
Friendship covenant.
Right.
Like that's it, and it's an eternal friendship covenant. It's not like a temporary. It's eternal.
Right. So that tav in the center of that is that's really big. It's huge. It's huge, right?
The third tav, that is the one that has been hidden.
Right.
Right? And so this connects us with da'at on the tree of life because it's the hidden one.
Yeah, these are
Yada becomes da'at. This is the 13th chakra on the tree of life. And 13 is ahava.
Absolutely. And so that's why this is completely filled up in mother's love. You're a completed mother. Okay, so, and again, we could go on many sidetracks with that.
I know. But in the completed mother, you're also saying that there's the father element in there because they've become one. We just haven't been activated yet.
Absolutely. You have it.
So that people understand when it's a completed mother, it means the totality of
it. Again, it's like
the process.
Right. In the beginning, mother and father, but they split off and then they separated themselves for the purpose of our experience. So in the beginning, we're walking with mother through
our young years.
Through Armageddon. You're going uphill. This is the battle of Armageddon. It starts from when you're battling Armageddon the whole journey of your life.
So as soon as you're born.
Until you come to the completion of the book of Revelation. You've now closed opening cover to end cover. And finalization is the Spirit indwells in me. I'm encapsulated on both sides with mother and father, and I am now completed.
So that absolutely makes sense then from the beginning to the end, the Aleph and the Tav, the Alpha and Omega, because that's this Tav that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
The final Tav.
Placed within you.
Placed within. Full-on activation.
And it could be said, you just can't see the outside perimeters, but for that to be in there, you have to have the perimeters, the peripherals of mother and father. The prefix, but now they've diminished because
you have increased.
You have increased.
Right, because you became their teachings.
Right.
So just like a natural mother and father decrease as you become, this is the supernatural spiritual side.
And I mean decrease in the most respectful way.
Oh, yeah, of course.
To say that you filled up in it's the greatest way that we can honor our mother and father is to become the likeness of our mother and father in the the pureness of intention.
Yeah,
right?
I totally agree.
And so that's what this is saying.
Well, and then that's when you become friends.
Right.
Friendship. Because you've become as one with them.
Right.
They no longer need to parent you.
Right.
Malach. So you're filled with the honey, Mel, and life, Het, the life through the covenant.
Absolutely.
Which is truly the friendship of the world, which they've twisted. They've said that if you're friendship with the world, then you're doomed.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
Because that's connected to shalom, because that's part of the definition of shalom, is to be friendly.
Right.
To be a friend.
And this root works down to that. It says a mound, and it roots out at 85:10. It goes to 85:24. It means to mock and deceive, but it's not. That Tav Lamed Lamed, it can't be. It's just with the frequency of what that's saying, in that it's like where this roots down to. It's you've overcome deception. You've overcome the whole process. That Lamed, both those Lameds wouldn't be there.
Okay, so the root of Tet Lamed or Tav Lamed is a twin Lamed.
Right. To elevate. Right.
Yeah. So it's an elevated salt.
Yeah.
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 And which would make sense because the word above is Allah.
Right.
To ascend.
Right.
Because you elevated yourself through the covenant, the twin covenants, because it's to become one.
Yeah.
The twin covenants of light.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So both, and we'll get into both those lameds, and hopefully, it's just so much information that we're just trying to give what we can while we can. But so, and then you can see that the one occurrence of that is Ezekiel 17:22, and these mountain of eminent, right?
Well, I guess I could go in there and look. I didn't trace it down, but I'll go and look since we're here, and I'll trace it down. So going to Tel, mound of salt, to Tel, a mound from Talal. Yeah, I really get irritated when they translate things like that. To elevate.
Right.
To elevate and be lofty, and yet when you go and pull up the page, it says to mock, deceive, and trifle with.
Yeah, you got to move around. You have to be able to navigate.
Dig.
You got to be able to dig to translate out. And again, you can't take it at face value. You got to move through it, and then you have to go sideways. You need to apply some lateral. This is why it's difficult to really bring it forward clear, is because there's so much lateral that has filled up this that not all of us can see it for its true value. We can see it because both of us have got, besides this page, we both have 6 or 7 going in opposite directions.
Pretty much.
And so
and even looking at that, Ken, if you were to put a yod between the lameds, what would you have? Talit, the prayer shawl.
Right. So go to
prayer shawl.
Absolutely.
Which is about our covering. It's an outward manifestation of an inward reality that says that we are covered and set apart through this ascension process, through the 2 teachings of light, the twin lights.
Right.
The twin instructions that come through the covenant of love. And then the yod would be in the middle of there to say, now you have power within you. Absolutely. Within your central being, you've been given power. The right hand is one who gives generously through the heart of love.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's a 22 at the end of Ezekiel, the 22 letters of light.
Yeah, if you want to go, we're still in that verse. I mean, we're still doing the one verse, and I've already.
I know.
Because when you go over to the one occurrence, it's in Ezekiel 17:22, and I can read it, even in English. Thus says the Lord God, and I will take Ani, of the highest branches of the cedar high, and set it out for the topmost of its young twigs. The tender one will crop off, and I will plant it, on the mountain high and prominent.
Wow.
And that's the one occurrence that says to deceive.
I know, right?
So.
Which is the prominent, and they saying it's deceive.
Right.
Oh, some of this stuff. I mean, there's definitely wrong here, but we were talking about Beirosh in teachings before. This is Meirosh, and it has to do with the head. So mem added in front of it. I mean, like this is so big, and I will set it from the topmost. That's the word to give. I will give the spiritual path through the twin covenants.
Oh, you went into it?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Mayrosh, the living water teachings that will raise your head up so that you can be a first fruit leader over yourself.
This is
This is
Adonai. This
incredible.
This would be a sovereign. We just said, like, out of the pit comes Abaddon, but it's not. This would be Adonai. Out of the pits
Exactly.
come the world calls them the scorpions, but they're not. We are the scorpions. We are Adonai. We are the sovereigns that have done the job in Sheol by asking the questions, and we come out of the pit as Joseph did.
Right.
We come out of the pit
To be raised
as
up.
Enoch did, because
Right.
of the exact same words. And then now
You mean so when Enoch
was not,
it's
and
the same word as when Joseph was in the pit and became not.
they're both the same words.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're both, and the
369.
369.
Yeah.
It's Strong's 369, but
Which isn't a coincidence.
and we'll get into that. But anyways, we just need to know that we can't, or it's highly recommended that we don't allow the frequency of fear to come into these things that
Exactly.
Apocalypse, when I didn't know, was a spooky word.
And Hollywood does such a good job of making people fear the apocalypse. I mean, countless movies.
Right. So just look at so if you want to look at
that. And just look at Adonai, what you were just talking about.
Right.
It's those who have become one, who are the judges that come with the power of the Father.
Absolutely.
But again, I've shared before, and I know you have too, is that the judging isn't the way people think it is.
No.
Because it's the frequency of the beings that separate people out. Just the other people, they separate themselves out.
There is shackle.
They judge themselves.
There is a weight. There's a currency and a weight of exchange that has to be in balance for transmutation to occur.
Right.
Just like any alchemic processing, there has to be the right renderings that produce the right measure to produce the outcome or the intention.
Right.
And this is why we have wrestling mother that produces the established completed mothers, aka fathers. There is a measure of intention, whether it's shackles and weights or ingredients. There still is a measure that needs to be comprehended. Now, I'm not saying that you need to do what we do. I'm not saying that you need to study the language unless your heart is telling you to study the language. What we are trying to show is that instead of 40 years of wandering, we can do it quicker if we're not, because you can still find this in a meditative state of being. You can still know and find love in right measure. If you've separated from the world and you've organically walked, then you have found the way. And again, all we're showing is from the part and the piece that we have to say, this is what was given to us to share, to say, if you're questioning, if you're looking at things and you're still tethered to frequency, if you're still in the place of forgetting and you're asking and going, I'm seeking something, then this may be a resolve for you to say, I can find my own resolve by doing this, and it puts you on the path that it steadies the storm for you, because you are the storm in our reality. When you realize who you are, there's no need to fear it because you are it. But the lesser narrative is going to produce just that, a lesser construct that's going to come against those that haven't fortified their stance of realizing who they are as completed beings.
Right.
So this is a pretty cool verse right here to realize. We don't even need to go into it because it's pretty big just in its own set to say, wow, this is the top. Right?
Right, as in Rosh, as in Bereshit.
Right.
In the beginning. The Reshit, those who are the principalities and rulers.
Right.
And so it's telling you how to build that.
These are the exalted. These are the top of the mountains. Like, you could end this and go, like, what were we just talking about? Armageddon? These are them.
Yeah.
These ones are waiting at the top of the mountain.
Right.
Okay, so where were we? Because I got off my own track.
Yeah, the mountain high. Because they've gathered the pieces by building love, and they will be revealed as those who are the prominent ones.
Yeah.
So before we were talking about the Talal, the Tet Lamed that came from the Mound of Salt.
Right.
So we were looking at that Malach, Tel Melach, and then Tel Melach, and then the Tel Charash, Charash. And I know that word is talks about engraving, if I remember, a fabricator.
You have to click this out.
Oh my gosh, they're saying it's the mound of the deaf and mute.
Right.
But that's not it.
No.
That Charash is a fabricator to engrave. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. All right, so this word is the mound of a craftsman.
Yes, this is the mound.
Right?
Yes.
But when you slide your little cursor over there, if you're looking and you're just looking at it, it says it's the mound of the deaf mute.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Hence why you need to dig.
You got to dig.
So these are the craftsmen who build unity.
Yes.
It has the aleph on the end. These are those who build unity and raise their consciousness up to the Meshiach level where they are unified as one. So these are also, so the Tel Charash, these are the craftsmen.
Yes.
Who build oneness,
yes.
the Christ consciousness,
yes.
elevated consciousness out of the lower density.
This
is so huge.
They are the love teachers. These are the love
one
teachers.
Love.
One love. But again, love
the cherub.
Yeah, right. One is only a frequency. Right. So these are.
So this is the whole process. Like, this is an amazing verse, and people would just like read over it, right? In English, It's got all these names in it, and you don't even dig. But then even if you dig, they try to get you off track. Because we enter in as the cherub, the cherubim that are trying to grow up to be the seraphim.
Right. Well, if you even go into that word, if you go down, I don't know where you're into the 8521, but when you go into the 2758, and it's a place in Babylonia, it's a craftsman though, and then you even root it out to 2796, it's an engraver.
Yes, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's an engraver.
Okay.
And it says something about to scratch or to be.
Right. But tie that into those
mechanics.
Right. But so I don't know. Are these those that mark?
This actually could be those who are helping to put the mark.
I'm just saying.
Because no, that would tie in. Because what does it say about the Kayutha? The Kayutha, the beast of Revelation 13, makes sure that every man, woman, and child has a mark on their forehead and their hand. And we have already totally deboned that. Mm-hmm. And we're in the process of deboning it while we are looking into the ancient Hebrew wedding. In fact, I need to get back to that teaching because that's right where I am at. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, they would be the engravers.
I'm just putting it out there for the without saying it. I'm putting it there more as a conjecture for people to ponder without telling them they are. I don't want to tell anything. I only want to share things.
But I am sharing it too. Okay. So they are actually getting to lay their eyes upon what we're saying. This isn't conjecture. Okay. Well, this is totally
so let's move through this. So then we have the crowd. We have the blessed.
So that I was just still looking at to scratch and to engrave and to plow, which is super huge. You have to have your heart to be plowed in order to put the seed in good soil.
Right, which is also the Zada, right?
Exactly.
So this is the first part that they plowed, and because they plowed, it gives them the right to wield the sword, and because they're wielding the sword, they have the right to then assist people to plow.
Exactly.
Because it's always a circle.
Well, you meant the Zayin.
The Zayin, sorry.
Not the Zada. But still, the Zada, they're all connected because that's the one where you're hunting and chasing that path.
Right. So, no, I meant
the Zayin.
The Zayin, sorry, the Zayin in the hand. So it's the first part of the Zayin, which is the plow, and then we have the sword. The sword is the completion, or the completed mother would be wielding it as the sword, right? Because they've navigated and wrestled the plow correctly.
Exactly. So we went through the cherub.
Okay.
To Addon, which means a sovereign. We already looked at that earlier.
We looked at that, right?
And this is the reason why they are is because they've pierced their heart and they've been filled up on the inside.
Right.
So coming as the judges, or what we've connected to as the gardeners, to bring forth the message of oneness, and they're coming in the representation. The cherub, that's awesome. The cherub come in the representation of mother. The Seraphim are the representation of Father. Wow, that's a nice little connect.
So these ones will be speaking.
Of course.
We can see that this authority of sovereigns will be speaking as, right?
Right, the mothers.
As the mother.
Resh, right? To raise the poor and destitute.
In the sovereign authority of one mother in the risen estate, right? They're in that risen place. They are now a headstone, as they would be the full representation of what Yeshua was in the earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they come forth speaking this message,
They
hence
come-
why it's
right,
Amar.
Right.
And then when it says, but not, so as to those who are teachable and humble, these teachers of light are going to come to instruct, Lamed, you to become one.
Yeah, it works both ways. It's yes and and, because that's right. So they will be bringing the sovereign messages to teach, instruct, and goad as one to those that
are not that.
That are not that.
Right.
Right. But there still is, the knots will not adhere to it, because if there still is free will.
Right. So there's going to be some that choose not.
There'll be those that choose not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so then we can go to they could.
Yep. Yakol.
And it's to be able to have power.
Exactly. Yep. And to accomplish and to prevail. So
they're teaching them that to prevail, this is the power. This is where the power, this is the Lamed is based on the power. The Aleph and the Lamed are power and authority together. That's an L.
L.
Right.
Yep.
And so now these ones are teaching this is the way of power that allows you to break free of the construct of the prison.
Exactly, out of the matrix. And to show people that both Yod and Kaf mean power.
Right.
One is an open hand, one is a closed hand. One is a representative of yoking and taping. The other one is opening the hand to receive and to give.
Right.
So these have received that which is necessary to fill their cup, to tame them, the teachings of light, to make them a gift from God, because there's that diamond, which means quadration, connected to the 144, and they have connected to Father. Right. And it means, kol also means to be whole.
Yep.
Whole and complete.
Yep. They're completed. And that we know that both that road's down. And that's a completed Lamed right there. So So we know that hidden behind that is another Lamed.
Exactly.
So we know that those are two Lameds again that are standing.
And we saw that with the Tel.
Right.
That was a hidden Lamed behind the Tel.
Yeah. Okay. So now they're going into identity, but it's
identify the house.
Right. Now identify. Now they're conspicuous. Nagat, right? So now they have been
wait. Oh my gosh. So that had a noon in front of it.
Now they've been made.
So spiritually, they are not of the flesh whatsoever. This is a completely spiritual identification.
All spiritual.
All spiritual.
Yeah.
And it's the light that's within them that will be revealed as those who gathered and assembled themselves by the power that they found within inside of them, because they went through the door of their inner man, where it was revealed to them what they needed to get rid of the beast nature.
Yep.
That's why they're not of flesh.
That's why they're not of flesh anymore, because
there is no beast nature.
They've taken the higher perspective, the higher narrative, which is the spirit journey. Gosh. And what did they compress? They compress spirit.
Exactly.
And so that's what will be rendered clear is the spirit part of it.
Because we're diminishing the effect of the beast nature within us, which ties us to this lesser matrix beast system.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now these are the Bayit
of the Father.
The Bayit of the Father.
I love that.
Right?
The house of the Father. And it's Obotam. It's the twin covenants.
They are now the twins completed.
Yes.
But it also means the house of the completed Father. Because Tom is still completion, right?
Right.
So this is now the house of the completed Father.
Well, of course, because we were talking about before that they have to come as mother first.
Right.
But then they're going to be revealed and identified, Lamed Hay, right? The teachers of light that are revealed as those of the temple of Father.
So now they show themselves. That's huge right there.
That's big time.
That Abitam.
Yes, that's like huge.
Bayit Abitam, like that's huge. That's huge right there. That's showing you that this is the house of the completed fathers.
Exactly.
And that means you are the temple of light.
Exactly. And that's why it says to identify the house of the Father, to identify the lighthouses.
You're the lighthouse.
You're a lighthouse. So you're set up on a hill as a beacon, as a signal.
Mother's Mountain.
Completion.
Because we're still talking about what we were talking about. We're still talking about Armageddon, which is really ties into becoming in the mature standing ones, because how it renders down. Again, we're just doing recaps.
Right.
But so this is this is now the lineage. You are now the lineage.
The zira, the seed.
You are now the seed, right? Right now you're
it's the zira of the of the people, the seed of the people who are of the Father.
Right.
They come as what you were saying before, the zayin, as the sword and the plow, as Ra, as your friends and companions and shepherds
Right.
that are of the the tribesmen of Israel.
Now you're
Because you
visible.
don't see any of that unless you dig it out.
So now we have the
Wow.
with mother, right? This is now. So these are those that have become this, and they're teaching this. That
they're the mothers of Israel.
they're the mothers of Israel.
Of course they
Because
are.
they're going to be teaching them exactly the way of the wrestle of how to go exactly what they just went through. They went through the walk. They plowed. They went through the whole journey.
They
plowed
did the whole
themselves.
thing.
They became the light of Father, the completed house of Father.
Yes.
And now they're turning as mothers to Israel and say, I am the way of the mother.
That's right. And I come as, so it's interesting that Israel is Mem Yod, right? So it's Israel, but Mem Yod, and it's two visions there, right? It's two Yods. So if you were to separate this out, this is technically a compound word. It's me, Israel. And me, many times, is the water.
Right.
The water that brings life.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The water that brings life in a vision, a seed vision, the zirah, the seed vision, the lineage of those who are the tribesmen, to those who are to become Israel.
Yeah, you could
those who are the upright, straight ones, right? The heirs, the prince and princesses, Sar, of El.
Yeah. You could even connect that with the Hey and the Mem, how this finishes.
Yeah.
Really, you could actually put that Hey Mem on the suffix of Israel. So it could be exactly the waters below are connected to the revelational waters above. This is Israel, really, because it's saying that
revealing the water.
This is the revealed water.
Exactly.
This is the revelation of the revealed waters.
So you have the me on the front,
right?
And then you've got the final mem on the backside. They will be revealed as completing their journey through the water.
Yeah.
These are those who have prevailed.
These are
Israel.
These are they.
Exactly. This is them.
This is them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay.
What a beautiful verse.
Yeah, it is.
And it tells you that at the top. These.
This is who they are.
We'elah. These.
Yeah.
These finish it up as the completed Israel.
Yeah.
Who completed their journey through the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not destruction, but it is destruction. This is why we're trying to say death, and or peace, and then sudden destruction. Because back in our other messages, this is what destruction is. You're breaking down the old paradigm. In the processes of really individually, you're breaking down. The matrix is being dissolved one person at a time.
Yep, exactly.
And if enough back out, then there's nothing here to hold it. And again, the system knows that if one screw backs out, not a big deal. Two, it'll still hold. But when you get thousands backing out, the whole Wizard of Oz is exposed to say, wow, there's nothing there now to hold the matrix together.
But that makes sense because when you even look at the gene keys, 60% of the population are generators. 60% are taking their energy and holding up the matrix.
Right. Okay.
That's huge.
So let's move so we can get this through. So yes, it's a big concept. So now we can go back to your page now, what I gave you. So we just wanted through. So that's all that was a completion of Armageddon, Harmagito. That was the full version of completing
of what we were sharing yesterday.
What we're sharing yesterday.
Okay, as a good recap.
So these are those then that have really become the tower, and then we are still gonna. I have to still roll this forward that we are still going to tie this into the amygdala, the hippocampus, the thalamus, and what's going on in the brain because this is all inwardly.
Come on, guys, dogs and cats.
So. So we can't lose sight of that because this is all about really Megiddo, the place of Manasseh. This is how we remember. Everything is about healing the head wounds.
Right.
Okay, so let's go down. Let's finish that. So let's go down now into Apocalypse on your file.
Yep, big deal.
Okay, so we're going to shed some light on Apocalypse here. And we can see that it's the unfolding, the revealing, unveiling, if we can see.
The unfolding of things not previously known.
Right. And in this, we can see that really, this is where...
Oh my gosh, disclosure is right there.
Yes, it's disclosure.
Holy crikey, and I just posted that thing the other day about disclosure.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had this in here.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why I'm trying to get my stuff out. So Where are you right now? Tell me.
Just on apocalypse, translated literally from Greek, is a disclosure of knowledge.
Yeah, there you go. So this
the
is
lifting of the veil of revelation.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is all. So again,
blame Hollywood and the Catholic Church for making it big and scary.
Everything is based on a summational total of what you are. What you're partnering with the ingathering is really your own journey of what apocalypse is. And we're going to break down what this is because it is the anointing.
Exactly.
The anointing is the compression of really disclosure. You're disclosing to yourself or someone disclosing to you. And so this is where we need to vet information to know what are you processing, because information is waiting statically to take form, right? It's sitting there in limbo.
Right, for the inward formation. Exactly.
And so this is how we take form.
Right.
Because it's through information. But what are we ingathering that produces form and likeness or similitude?
Right.
Okay, so that right there, we see that. And all it really says, this knowing, this finding, John had this. And he was finding, they say good from evil, but really when you go into evil, we know it's just simply, it is good from adversary or affliction. He extracted out the good through the affliction.
Which is exactly what people with an increased consciousness level turn everything into the good.
Right.
They don't see the other side of it. Everything literally is for the good of our learning.
Right.
Through experience.
So let's go down. Absolutely.
That is a sign of maturity spiritually.
Right. We need to stop worrying about what other people are saying about us and just continue on our own journey.
Yeah.
So we have the next one, apocalypse, and uncovering what was covered up. This is its own definition. This is what was stolen. Something was covered up. It was the theft.
Exactly.
And so now we're unveiling, like, oh my goodness, the revelation is, this is why the theft in the garden was such a big deal, because part of the apocalypse or the unveiling or the disclosure is realizing we are part of the disclosure. We're saying something was stolen.
Exactly.
And now,
we're revealed.
We're revealed.
Yeah.
We're now revealed.
Yep.
And we can see, if you want to go into Luke, we can see this first in Luke. Apocalypse is in Luke. Let's just go in there.
Oh, you want to show what the Greek is?
Yeah, because we can just quickly show it just to say what is really transacting, because this is really the first occurrence of apocalypse. It'd be good to know where it is, right?
Well, I can always go and look in.
I didn't really want to necessarily.
In the Peshitta,
but
too.
you can just quickly go. Show
I see it.
Okay.
A light for revelation of the Gentiles.
There you go.
Right. Apocalypse.
It's apocalypse, right?
Right. Revelation. So, in other words, so people can say and see that.
Right.
That apocalypse means revelation.
Revelation of light.
Yep.
That's all it really means, because phos, light, right? Now, yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to go into that.
Holy moly.
Right. It's the revelation for the light vessel. And so, so we're going to go into this.
Oh, my gosh.
But we got to step it through.
Oh.
So let's go. We can go back. I just wanted to show that to connect it. And Luke means light.
Right, of course.
Lucas, Lucius,
right.
It's all
about light.
Luke means light. And so there we have light is shedding light on light.
Do we want to see what it looks like in the Peshitta? Well, that is beautiful. Wow. So I love Aramaic too. It's so amazing because it's a overlay on top of it's Giliana, but it's Le Giliana.
Right.
The Lamed is in front of Giliana, which means revelation. And I've heard that term before, and I've even shared that in some of my teachings. But to show people that it's the light, Nahara, so it's missing the mem for Menorah, but that's typically what it is. You become the light because you don't need the teachings anymore of mother and father. You are them.
Right.
So, and what are you doing? You are revealing, and then there's the Har, the mountain of one.
Yep.
And there's your new that you've been talking about. I know. And so this is a beautiful, beautiful verse. This is a beautiful verse for the people because you guys need to see this too. We just showed you what Israel is in Hebrew.
Yep.
This is Israel in Aramaic. So huge changes here because we have the Aleph in front. So they become one.
Right.
And they still have the vision. Yep. This is AI. The real AI, not artificial intelligence.
It also means lo and behold. It's also alas.
Yep, lo and behold, alas.
But it's a huge expression. Alas.
Exactly.
Right?
Exclamation
point.
Those who are married
Right.
have the signet ring,
Right.
hedged in, supported, propped up, raised up to be the first fruits that have the power of light. They are light.
Yes.
This is Israel. So most people don't know there's a change in that word.
Right.
And so it's the revealing those who are of the light who have become one in the time of revelation, Giliana.
Yeah. And so
and the people. Look at that. They have their double M.
Yeah. And so just so we can put this in perspective too, so we need to not lose sight of, because sometimes we get tunnel visioned into the verse. So I just want to pull out a little bit and remind us that we're talking about apocalypse, when we're talking about Armageddon and really Apollyon in the pit,
right?
Because this is the light that was produced in the pit that's coming out of the pit to be a light to the world.
Right, and that's right here, the people, because it's now the people, because they went through the twin teachings, are now of the light.
There you go.
And they have the power from the word.
Yep.
Kaf Pei.
Yep. Very cool. So I just want to show that
amazing.
because I just love put things in so people can see. Because we don't want to go too lateral, but that's enough lateral that people can get a glimpse.
Great dot connecting.
Okay.
And why you don't see it, you don't see that in Greek. So for the people who want to keep clinging to the Greek translations, they still obfuscate the truth.
And also, this word, by the way, is the first word of Revelation 1:1.
Exactly, Giliana.
Giliana, right?
Right,
no,
right.
Apocalypse.
Right.
Right.
But it's Giliana.
Right.
In Revelation 1:1.
So it starts off
the revelation of
disclosure.
Exactly.
Revealing.
So everybody's waiting for disclosure, which, by the way, is coming up more precedent in the news lately. Again.
Right. Okay, so let's continue on in where we are. So we're in. So this is an uncovering, and I want to connect this because this is the uncovering of the millstone that's over the pit. Everyone's talking about it's about to be uncovered. They're talking about the millstone, and we're going to connect this.
Can we connect that to the stone that was in front of where Yeshua was buried?
Yeah, because this is all to do with death.
Right, death and life and raising.
But we're going into life.
Right.
Through the transmutation of alchemy, we're already in death right now. This is a death suit.
Right. It has an expiration date on it.
Right. And so we're already experiencing death, but we've summed death to be a total equation of when we expire, but really that's the expression of life.
Right.
What you're doing is through spiritual alchemy, you're actually becoming the completed Ouroboros of shedding the skin for light.
And that makes sense because it's Mem Vav Tav, right?
Right.
So it's the process of the living water teachings to connect you to the covenant of love.
Right.
And if you don't find it in one go around, you get to do it again.
Right.
Until you find it.
Right. And this ties into Tiamat, which we're going to shed some light on too, because this is all the same. It's all the same story being told over and over again. And we're even going to get into what a devil is in here. So this is the millstone, and absolutely you can, because that's what it was. It was just a huge millstone that covered the tomb. But what is the tomb? We're still talking about the resh. We're still talking about the head. The millstone will be removed. Whoa. And then light's going to shine in on those that have the millstone removed because it's the healing.
It'll activate them.
Because it's the healing of the hippocampus. For those that don't have fear on the throne, if they're living in shalom, the double measure of shalom, they will be activated in the measure of light's love.
Which then goes right back to the revealing of Yeshua in the Mount of Transfiguration and Moshe.
And if we quickly, I can go look, but if we look at even millstone, it ties into the chariots. It's the upper millstone. And it ties into the horse and the rider. And this is what's being removed. And so it's just that the upper millstone, this capping us right now, and we're coming into a season where the upper millstone is going to be removed. Because we are building the chariot.
I'm trying to find where you're...
It's not in yours.
Oh, okay. No wonder why. I'm like, I don't know where you're going.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's one of my side files. But so that's okay. We're gonna bring disclosure to that here coming up when we have any more time. So we're in 602. We're in Apocalypse.
Yep.
And we're seeing that we're still into the Greek.
Yep.
And it means disclosure, appearing, coming, lighten, manifestation, be revealed, revelation. Right.
And then we saw, we saw that it was also the Giliana in Aramaic.
In Aramaic. And then we have that it's rooted down from in 601. We have it's right there. You see
Yep.
uncover, reveal, disclosure again, and we see that it's connected to Hebrews 15:40. But let's break it down. Now we're going to break it down. So we got to keep on rolling on just apocalypto because now it's apo, and it means from and away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Off. Yep.
And we have separation and departure and completion.
Yes, I see those.
And then you're to the next one. Calypto, kalapto, to cover,
Oh my gosh.
to cover up.
This is what they've done. This is literally what they've done. In the English translation, they've covered this up.
On the lesser narrative, this is if you look at the 2813, to steal. This goes back to the theft in the garden.
Yeah, but
then the theft was covered up, right, so we would never find how to build the light chariot.
Exactly. And this is why the beast religion has made sure to cover this up to not have it revealed.
And this is, by the way, where they get the word kleptomaniac.
Right, klepto, to steal.
To steal.
Right, because it's based on the Greek word.
Right. So something has been covered up, something has been stolen, and
something
our job,
was hidden.
As we are detectives, and we're just solving a mystery, because this is the mystery of the deep. And so and tomorrow we're going to share on what this mystery is. And so now we're revealing it. So, and we have in this too, you have it now, so we have the 2928 by covering.
Yeah.
And then I put the 617 in there to roll away, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a very similar in its pronunciation, right? Apokilo, but it's still similar, but that's why I can connect it to the stone.
Well, to the apocalypse.
Right. It's connected to something being covered, something, right? And
right.
So it's
by covering.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to go down to the Hebrew of what it is. Galah.
Right. So we saw the Aramaic, and so now that we're going into the Hebrew.
Now we're going to the Hebrew, right? Of what? Because if you go back up, we can see that, well, why are we going to the 1540? Because it's really, this is the same as 1540 we've now just going, this is the uncovering.
Oh, so when it said from above that apocalypse was the same, you're connecting it to this.
Right.
To 1540.
Right, because in Hebrew, this is to uncover. It's saying the same thing, but speaking in Hebrew now.
Right.
Instead of apocalypto, it's saying Galah.
Right.
Uncover.
Exactly.
Right? Reveal. So only through the definition can one define what is and what is not, because otherwise it's all frequency. So what can we do to reveal?
And just to let you know, because of what I shared this weekend with Regina and Jesse, Gal also means fountain.
Absolutely, it does.
Fountain within. It's the fountain.
It has to be, and it absolutely has to be. And this is what it's producing. The chariot, the Merkabah, the vessel of light, fully completed. It is the fountain of life. It's the deep. It's the tree of life. It is the face of El, the completed spirit body.
Haniel.
Right. It has to have everything because it's fully completed. So it's everything. So.
Oh my goodness, the dog is snoring.
The dog is snoring. So the Gimel.
So in other words, I just pulled up the picture.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we are talking on this tomorrow. We are going to shed light on why the bear, the panther, and the horse, and why the face, because they're all exactly the same thing. I just don't want to hide anything. I don't want a coded picture to say, what is that, right?
We want to explain it.
We want to explain it to say
so there's no more mysteries.
Right. We want to shed light on the mysteries because we are the mysterious. It's us, and we're finding ourselves. And why would I want to hide that?
Right. So because we've become the hidden ones.
Right. And there's a difference between knowing the information versus being activated in it. You can know and have a puffed up head, but our heart is to have a full heart.
Right.
That's the reason we're doing that. That's the whole process of what we're doing is
an all-hearted one.
Right, all-hearted, right. And so there's no point in hiding. It just confuses and really it angers me in a positive sense. It just frustrates me that it's been obfuscated for so long. The revealing has been tedious, but I want to now reveal what we've extracted so other people can benefit, and so they don't have to try to guess at it.
Right.
So we have Galah, And
Oh my gosh, Ken. Just got to show you this. I look like you. Look at the bottom of the page, all the files that are open.
yeah,
I'm becoming like you.
heaven forbid we don't need any more like me.
Well, the two shall become one.
So the Gimel is the humble teachings that uncover. So, and we're going to express a little bit what the Gimel is here, but it's really so because the Gimel is all through this. The Galah is all about a Migdal, right? It's all about the Migdala,
Right.
the tower of the amygdala.
Right.
And so this is how we do it, and it's all about remembering again. So the revealing of the Lord. This was Paul was taught this. He was taught the reward of El, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was taught the way of mother through a completed mother, and he was taught the Christ anointing.
Yes, he was.
He was revealed the Christ anointing.
Exactly.
Right.
Which I have spent time explaining before, and we need to continue to explain what that anointing is, the Meshiach.
Well,
because
you have it.
Okay, good.
So mother's covering teachings will reveal your covering or reveal your nakedness. One of the two.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
So, and that's why I put these little catchphrases in there.
Yeah.
That you get. It's only one way or the other. A revealing is a revealing. It's either going to clothe you or it's going to tell you you're naked.
Exactly.
And both are good if we approach it in humility.
Yep.
And so now we have the word there in Hebrew again. It's all rooted. So now we have to reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, and this is great. I'm so glad you're pulling this because this is exactly what I was telling them, sharing with them on Sabbath about the basin and the bowl and the fountain. This is perfect. This is like the timing of you sharing this is like, oh my gosh. So now, I was sharing it on my own side. I didn't even know it was connected here.
There you go. So now we have the bell and the basin and the bowl.
Yes.
The fountain, right?
And look at here's the difference though. Looking at 1541 to 1543. The Lamed doesn't have a Dagesh in the 1541, but it does in the 1543.
Right.
So it's filled. It's been pierced with that revelation.
Yep.
Because it changed the status of the Lamed, a frequency change.
Right.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. So this would be one then that the stone has been rolled away. And we look at the next word in this.
Yeah,
now
Galah.
We have the double Lameds now in this.
Yep.
And now we have it's rolled away.
Right.
So it ties into the above one. That's why I brought it in to connect it because I'm going, it's tied to Apocalypto, but now
from the Giliana.
From Giliana.
Right.
And now here it is, Galgal, and now we have the rolling away of the stone. And so this is where we have from the tomb, right? Roll the mill from the tomb and reveal the depth of the waters deep. Because it's you. You are the deep.
Exactly.
You are the mysterious.
Exactly.
And are you seeking to find yourself because you are a mystery to be solved?
Exactly. That is the mystery.
It's you.
It's us.
It's us.
The revealing, revealing of us, those who have gathered what they needed to, assembled themselves, Gimel, right? Weaned and ripened themselves to reveal that they are of the light. They are the light vessels. Wow.
People don't want to know that they're Leviathan.
No, I know.
But in its true form, in its higher essence of what Father intended, Leviathan means you've been joined. You are now joined because it's connected to Levi, right?
Right.
So this is what it is. And even in this deeper revelation, and this is why I put the Holy Grail file, because I have another file with the Holy Grail.
Well, I was wondering why you went down, because I just scrolled down there and I'm like, Gibah, what's going on here?
Well...
I see, because you connected it to the cup and the bowl.
To the cup and the bowl.
Right.
Right, and so it's the calyx of the flower.
Right.
Which is really... the whole essence of who we are. If people want to talk about the thousandfold anointing, about the flowers, because this
which is connected to the lotus as well, right? Because the 1,000-petaled lotus is the Meshiach anointing,
right?
And it is also so the thousandfold anointing. It's the olive, and it's also connected to the scent of the rose.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to this file right now, but I just put it in there going like, because I know what I'm seeing. I'm going, and not that that was arrogantly said. I mean, like, I know what I see.
Right.
And so, but I can't go too lateral right now because I'm trying to make a point.
Because you're trying to land the plane.
Trying to land the plane here. We still have lots to do. But I can tell you, like, from what I'm seeing is that you are the Holy Grail.
Right.
Because the Ayin is the fountain of the deep of the youthful waters. You are now become and have become perpetuity. Therefore, you are the Holy Grail.
Right.
What it means, you are the Kodesh Kodeshim.
Right. The holy ones.
Galah, revealed.
The revealed.
As the Kodesh Kodeshim.
Right.
The Holy Grail.
Right. That makes sense because they are also the fullness of the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle.
Hello.
Us.
There you go.
Right. So they gathered what they needed to build love through the 222 that gave them the power to access the fountain within them. And now they have the eyes to see.
These are the ones that are coming back in. They have the ears to hear, the eyes to see. They are fully manifested.
And the hands to do.
They're the full manifestation and the embodiment of light. And now they're coming back in the full reverence of completed light to say, we want to share this because this is exactly the purpose of why we're all journeying in the journey of love.
Yep.
Okay. So, and I put this in here just so people can see, because Gimel is all through this that we need to know, because really what we need to express what this is. This is the reward of God, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Gamaliel.
Right?
Yep.
And so, and this breaks down, there's the root of Gimel. We've already gone through this, but
yes.
doing inculcation. But now you've been dealt with fully, right? And now you're weaned and ripened. And I would call this a ripe first fruit, right?
Yep.
So we've now toiled.
Well, and think about it too. Ripening under the sun.
Right.
The sun light. To become light.
Right.
Hence, Gimel. Gam-el. Gathering light.
Right.
And so a weaned one means you're off the milk of the word.
Right.
You no longer need it.
Absolutely.
You're into the meat, the esoteric side. Father's teaching.
All right. And so now I just put this in here for out of the depths comes the mark that defines you based on your definition of what is and what is not. And this is from the Greek revelation of 9:1, and the fifth trumpet sounded, and to him was given the key, and the key to the well, the bottomless pit, because pit and well are the same word.
Right.
And so Joseph was thrown into the well, the pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you seeing that we call it the pit, and the pit is this spooky thing again, but we'll see right here that well is the same word. So this now ties it to what is the well? It's the abyss. It's a prison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So we've been imprisoned in our own body.
We've been imprisoned in our own body.
We are the pit.
Right.
Oh my gosh, we're the pit.
We're the pit.
We are climbing up and out of our beast ego because we're in the pit.
We're shedding the skin.
That's why they're going to send to the rose. That's why they're going to come out and they have no pit. Oh my gosh.
There's no pit
there
in
is
these
no
ones.
pit in these.
Absolutely.
Because they came up and out of it.
Yeah, they no longer have the stone.
Right.
The
stone's removed, which is why you're just telling us this. I am so sorry. It takes me a while to connect. I'm a little slow.
So they've removed, because everything
gosh.
We try to say it 1,000 times.
I know. Well, sometimes it takes the 1,001 time for me.
Yeah, I know. That's okay, though. But so, because everything's macro, micro. On the large scale, well, because macro, micro is like a telescope, right? Because we are still a macro to the micro, but when we look the other way, that macro, therefore we're the micro, right? So, but in us is still a micro, and we are the macro.
Well, again, going back to like Thoth and Hermes,
right.
As within, so without, as above, so below, right?
It's
the same.
It telegraphs out forever,
right?
In all directions, inwardly and outwardly, because that's who we are,
right?
And so that dynamic plays out here is that we can see this, what you just had revelation of, right? Behold. And so you realize that if it is a pit on an outward for the many, then it's also that revelation on the inside for a personal.
Exactly.
Corporate as well as individual.
Exactly.
Has to be. Right.
Wow.
Okay, so we're in prison in our own flesh suits, and now we are given, so it's really interesting because the pit, I just went to Revelation 9:1, and I just wanted to see in the Greek what pit, key, and abyss were so I could bring it in here to assist people. And that this key really is talking about opening. It says it's a lock, but it's talking about opening. And in Matthew 6:19, this first use is, I will give you the keys of the kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
So, right, so the trumpet will sound and was given the key to the well of the abyss. That's the key to you.
Oh my God.
You just stated it. If it's a macro and a micro, and if it's within as without, then you are given the key to come out.
Can we take a quick peek?
Yeah.
Matthew 16:19.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, I love this stuff. I love this stuff so much. I am such a geek. I could do this all day. Oh, wait a minute, I do. Matthew 16:19.
And we can go to Revelation 9:1 too, because that's the
Okay.
fifth trumpet that sounded that was given the key to the bottomless pit, right? And to him. But we've already stated who he is. Ooh.
Okay, so here's kingdom. I can see that right there. There's Demakutha, right?
Mm-hmm.
The kingdom of Dam, blood, light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Life is in the blood. To thee I will give, which is this. So this has got to be key. You notice that? It's
Yep.
Aleph Tav Lamed.
Yep.
I will give
Mm-hmm.
the language
of light. That's your key.
I know,
Hello?
right? Your language of light. Right. I will give. And who does it? A teacher of light comes, Kaf Pei, speaking to you about...
Telling you to tame the unruly.
Exactly. The Kaf.
Right.
Oh my gosh. In order to reveal you through the language of light.
Right.
Okay, so key. Yep. So this one, it's a... was that Samek? Lamed? I have such a hard time looking at this. I don't know the Aramaic very well. I'm trying to learn it at the same time, but it's an awful lot to try to learn.
It's a lot to...
It's like you go through the Paleo-Hebrew to the Hebrew to the Aramaic, and I'm like, oh, okay.
In all honesty, I only go where the Spirit tells me to go. I only do what I'm supposed to do to shed light that I can assist Carrie, so Carrie can assist whoever. But through, I can already see the revelation that the Spirit shares with me.
So cool. Because give, it's supposed to be Aleph Hey Bet. And it morphed to the language of light.
Language of light.
Aleph Tav Lamed. Of course, you're never going to see this in English or Greek.
No.
And then the word key is Kuf Lamed, Yod, Dalet, Aleph. And that's the exact same. It's up here I'm seeing it's the same as the root. So I'm going to just look real fast. Because that's what we were looking at, right? Key. That was the main reason. Just looking at the keys to the kingdom. And we already see that it's, I will give you the Aleph Tav Lamed, the language of light, which is the key.
Yeah.
So I got to look at that again.
And you're getting the keys to the abyss. So now we can take the spooky out of what the abyss is, right?
Look at that. Because little by little. Kuf Lamed, Yod. Little by little.
Right.
You compress light.
Completed light.
In your power, little by little and slowly.
Drips and drops, distillation before your cup is full.
Parched ears.
Right.
Those who have the parched ears. Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. Awesome. To consume and burn.
There you go. And we know that from Mother's teaching that, again, ascending Mother's mountain is becoming an ash heap, right? So it has to tether to the language. And it's just, when you start...
Oh my gosh, that's so fantastic.
When you start seeing it, it's like you realize how amazing, because everything becomes so crystal clear. Like, of course, it has to tether, and it becomes an expectation when you're realizing it's going like, it has to. I know.
Right? Well, because if you see it once, you end up seeing it a thousand times. And then right here, so what is on the end of it? It's the door to oneness, to unity, to the Christ consciousness, the Meshiach consciousness, where the veil is removed and the stone is removed.
And I want to say,
of the kingdom.
Of the kingdom.
And this is the Utha.
Right.
This is the suffix that goes to the Kai,
Malkutha.
to the living. Well, but it's to the Kayutha, the beast.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
That suffix is massively huge.
Right.
And so this is the kingdom within you.
Within you.
Right there, you're pierced within, and you have to go through the door.
Now, if you see it, can you become it?
Of course.
There you go.
That's what I've said. If you can see it, you can become it.
You can become it.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't even meet... So
of the Shemaiah.
I want to make clear...
One more thing, sorry. It's the door to the Shemaiah. It's the door to the heavens. Literally, this first thing right here is the whole keys to get into above waters.
Because we're in the abyss.
Yes, we are.
So I want to just, because I mean, it is really exciting, and I don't want to be water on Carrie's fire, but because I'm not, I want to assist other people too, is that
I just made popcorn.
I want to make sure you don't have to see this. When I say see, I mean your spirit senses are vibrating in the excitement of the potential.
But this is what is so beautiful about what we're doing. We're prophesying over people.
That's my point.
I know it is.
We are releasing it, and if one can see it, can another man enter?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that is why prophecy is supposed to work that way. So
And
let's like demystify the whole prophecy.
And when I say man, I mean mankind.
Exactly.
Because that's all it is. It's
The
just a
Anash.
frequency to me.
Those who
Right.
are the weak and feeble ones to become the Ishman.
Right. Ishman.
Right? The fire beings that have power within, the Seraphim.
So this is the bottomless pit.
Oh my gosh, this is the key out.
You're the key out, and you will take flight, and you will have a sting in your tail and a sting in your mouth, because that's the sword. You're going to have the ability. It will be in your walk, and it will be in your hands, because you will be it.
Exactly. You are.
You are. You are the locust, because you've consumed much while in the earth. You left the green because the green.
You grabbed by the fistfuls.
Yep, and you've consumed everything. Again, the lesser narrative is a lesser narrative. That's fine and dandy. I'm coming, and whatever that has said as a story, so be it. But in the instruction of Father's frequency, he is saying and asking, see this, hear this, become this. Absolutely. So that's just another little sidetrack. Cool stuff.
Dang.
Now let's go down to the Hebrew. So because I'm
sorry, that was just such a massive revelation.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh. Like, oh, that felt so good.
And we will go into you'll see it in yours, in the abyss. We will deal with the abyss. I can't transfer over there right now because I didn't give you my paper.
Right.
But that will be in a day or so, because we're going to unveil the Ouroboros and the abyss and tether it in and Tiamat as well as Leviathan.
Right. So hence why you showed this right here with the abyss.
Right. I'm just I can't go backwards. I'm only going forward. So we're gonna have to recall it to say, oh, we're still talking about this, and it all connects. But it's very difficult to show all, because all is connected to all.
I know.
And we can only do it one page at a time.
Well, and like it just said, you have to learn it.
Drips and drops.
Drips and drops.
It's
a little at a time. That's the only way you can do
This is part of the word of sublimation into ionization for the sake of plasma energy, is distillation right now. We are organically, if you look at the chart through sublimation, you can actually see, so we are already administering ourselves through self-adjudication to go through distillation.
Yeah.
So we're going through really our own process of alchemy,
because it's revealing the oil in us.
So it's just rendered clear.
The essential oils really, in us.
We're becoming the mist of dehydration, right? Or coming into a cloud.
Right.
But that then shoots over into sublimation. We've now, and this is the alchemy language, spiritual alchemy. We've now gone, straight as the way, but yet in drips and drops, we're still gently and slowly removing the lesser, so the greater is revealed as light. And that, and
that totally makes sense again, because I was connecting it to oil, because what is rendered clear, right? So we're connecting it to the oil in the lamps as the vessels of light. So not only are we releasing through the water the sublimation to ionization and becoming plasma light, it is like a self-sustained generator, because we're producing our own oil.
Absolutely.
At the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and wants to see this. There's a crystal. It's called, and I'll put it on your file. I'll send you. It's the Holy Quadra.
Halo Quadratum.
Right.
Walsby, Bai, whatever. Right. It's a salt crystal.
It's a salt crystal. It looks like a green window. It's a emerald green window. But my
and it looks like it was connected to Egypt.
Right.
Imagine that.
So this is what's
Emerald
going
tablets.
on. So we're going into really the breakdown from solid to liquid through evaporation, right?
Yeah.
And the only way back into liquid is through condensation. So we are going straight as the way is sublimation to a gas, right? Deposition or desublimation is back to a solid. But if we're going up, let's just focus on the up. So we go from a solid sublimation to gas. And then from gas, we go ionization to plasma. And then we come back down into the earth through recombination, depositioning, which is desublimation, back to solid. And this is the transference. But right now, this is what we're doing.
From the liquid to the gas, the living water.
Right. We're going
through distillation.
Right. So
yeah.
We're doing this triangle right now.
Well, and that totally makes sense, because if we're becoming, so gas, think of like spirit, we're waiting for the activation to become plasma.
Right.
because it has to have a fuel source in order to be ignited in light.
Right. Yep. And that's going to come with Father's touch. That's a spark. But
Yep.
so anyway, so that's just a little side note. But yes, that's kind of what's going on.
I will say real quick while you're going back, when it says abyss and it says from alpha as a negative prefix, that's so bunk. This is exactly why they wanted to make people believe that everything was written in Greek so that they wouldn't go to the Aramaic, right? So the alpha is a negative participle of it, making it a boundless, bottomless pit that you're now bound in.
Do you know the reason is
that's crazy?
The reason it's bottomless is because you're endless.
No, I get that.
No, I know. I'm talking about the people.
But they are taking people into the Greek to bind them, and we're trying to set them free so that they can see it
absolutely
differently.
Again, and we'll share tomorrow about, because really what this face of the Spirit is who we are, but it's because we can't really articulate clear enough to render through what everything is. And so it's we say bottomless, but it just means it's perpetuity, it's forever. The abyss means, listen, you are as deep as you want to be and as shallow as you want to be. But the face of the deep is the face of the Spirit.
Right.
If you're able to speak the language of light, then you are a deep one. It means that your well is well established within you, and out of your mouth comes the well of living waters.
And so when you say speak, you're not saying that we literally are trying to speak the language. We're saying that it's being able to take it, translate it out, and speak forth the revelation that comes through it.
To the best of our ability, again, micro, is that we are speaking, bringing clarity, a light language forward.
Right.
But again, there is still a well within me that I can't, and you can't, and the people can't really articulate clearly because it's frequency.
Exactly.
So we are limited because really trying to communicate with language, the base form of a mouth,
is very difficult.
Very base, very limited. Until we get to clean thought, that's the higher degree.
Telepathically communicating.
That's what. So but what we are doing is our faith is that by releasing by the mouth, we're releasing the frequency of thought. So in our own really limited perspective and abilities, I know my heart is connected to my mind, and in that frequency, I release everything within me to resonate throughout the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the abyss. Now we can go down to the Hebrew word of 875, and it's well and pit.
Yep. Well, that's interesting to say it, is because there's or right there without the vav.
Right.
So the light activation needs to come with the vav between the aleph and the resh to make you light.
But again, in that,
so that they can come and go out of the pit, right? Because there's both.
Right, but in that word, we know the bet is also the bet tov. So
exactly.
In this is 222. So if you build love, right, while you're in the pit,
right,
but the only way you can do it is if you're pierced. And as soon as you're pierced, then the vav goes in your heart.
Exactly.
And now you'd be bet, aleph, vav, resh.
The built light.
The built light.
Exactly.
In the time and the season of the pit.
Well, and then that's again why Or Shalom, or Leor Shalom in the New Testament, for Jerusalem.
And that's why the next word is like, if you dig, you're digging to engrave yourself.
Right. Right.
You're digging your own grave.
Isn't that funny?
Right?
Because it's the death to the earth suit.
It's the death to the earth suit.
Right. So you can be released from your lesser nature.
We're digging our
spiritual. And this tells us to explain.
Right.
To be able to explain and to make clear the process of building love, right?
Right.
Through one teaching.
Right.
Of love to raise you up to be a first fruit.
Right. And so you've already got it up on your page, though, the next one.
Yeah.
And we can tie that right to the mark.
Yeah.
To make a mark.
And this is to engrave the people on the forehead. This was used in Ezekiel, the writer who took his inkhorn to mark the people. Oh, you have it right there. Yeah, Ezekiel 9:4. Yep. That is the one. And it says, do not harm those who have been marked on the forehead.
Right. So there you go. And we can tie it to...
So, again, marking on the forehead, changing your mind.
Absolutely.
Your perspective, the way you think and see.
Right. What you put your hands to is what you process. It's the mark, but it's your hand is actually putting to the work and the deed that's necessary to change the revelation, to produce a new reality. Neuroplasticity, really the expansion of thought process, is then really what we just said, formation, information forms.
Exactly, for the inward formation.
If we are doing what we need to do, then our formation, we're prognosticating to ourselves for the expansion of neuroplasticity to become a completed being.
Yep.
It's exactly what we're doing.
Exactly.
We do it in our own home, and now we're expressing it as an outward reality for others.
And this is why when we see things and we see a negative connotation, we don't accept that.
Right.
Like we go and we dig because we're rendering everything clear.
Right. So let's go through this because we still have a little bit to go through. So we have, I just want to tie this all in. So we have patak, to engrave, right?
Yes.
To open, to loosen,
yes.
To plow, to carve. Well, now we're going back to the zayin.
And the chamash.
Right.
The fabricators. Right.
Right.
The craftsmen.
Right. And now I put this in here from the valley. It's from another file, but I put it because I wanted to show what the valley
before you move that, it's what to open wide. What? The mouth that speaks forth the revelation and covenant of life.
Absolutely.
Patak.
Right. It's allowing yourself to pry open your mouth, right? Because the pay is the upper lip and the bottom lip, but what's in that, and then even in that we have the frequency of tav, which is the mark. Within your mouth is the mark, right, that sets things apart.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Set things apart, but again, esoteric side, that's life, the life of the covenant, which is a number 8.
So you have the
eternity.
Power to loosen.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that goes back.
Bind.
But that goes back to this verse right here. To thee I will give the keys of the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
Whosoever shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever shall loose on the earth shall be loosed in heaven.
There you go.
I mean, that's really what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about. But again, if your perspective is not to loosen, and if it's to keep yourself bound, you will be bound.
Right.
And we're just trying to show a greater perspective to say, loosen the chains and the binds of the prison system, and get ready, because we're about to go into a season of a removal of a stone off the pit, and there will be a revealing of those that have stewarded correctly, or at least process. So again. Sorry, that's the dog in Mishka. It's okay.
Oh my gosh. That's so silly. Right. I know, girl. It's so upsetting.
Okay.
Vacuum cleaners are so upsetting. They're so upsetting. I know.
So let's go. So we have now on.
I'm sorry. Her sounds are so funny.
Girl, it's all right.
It's okay.
Mishka, it's all right. Stop it. Go back to sleep. Mishka, it's all right.
I'm sorry. Her sounds are so funny. Are you okay, girl? Are you okay?
You're fine.
You're okay.
Fine. You're fine.
It's
okay. Just can't get a full roll going.
Well, I'd rather her do that than bark super loud.
Yeah. All right. Okay, well, so we'll snip that out. Unless you want
I might keep one or two of them in there because they're so funny.
Right.
Oh my God. You're a hilarious dog.
So I put this in here because this is from another file that we're going to be talking about in a day or so, and this is talking about the Valley of the Deep, and this is the vow, and this is
the veil.
Well, no, it means the vow. It means the impression. It's a vow.
Veil.
No, that's a vow. It's either way. It's not a veil. It's.
No, that's how you pronounce it in English.
Well, in Canada, we don't. If we had a monkey right now.
All we need is the monkey. I think we're the monkeys.
Mishka, stop it. You're fine. It's a vacuum cleaner.
Oh my God, that's
It's called a vow.
Okay.
It's a vow.
Okay.
It's so you want to call it a veil. The spelling is still there, but it's Old English, and the vow means it's the impression. It's the vow.
I totally, okay. I'm comprehending it.
All right, so that's funny stuff. So anyway, so it's a broad depression, and it just means a valley. It's just short for valley. That's all. Right. Okay. And so, so this is the profound house of the Valley of the Deep, right? Because in between Mother and Father's mountain is where we're overshadowed in their presence, but really it's us. but yet there still is that temple of the macro micro.
Right.
And so we are consumed, and we will be an ash heap, but we're also overshadowed. And this is right hemisphere, left hemisphere, and in the center is the val. That's the deep impression within us. So in that center, there we are. And that roots out. And we'll bring a little bit more clarity to this, but I just want to bring this forward, that right there we see that, right, to seek, to be, the depth, to be profound. And this goes into what we're going to share with about the Ouroboros, about profundancy.
Right. Well, and house is synonymous in Hebrew thought with temple. Every time they would hear that, bayit, they would know it was a temple.
Right.
Because it was a foreshadowing of them.
Right.
You are the temple of the deep.
Right.
Because you're building it, but bet yod tov.
Which we've already established
over and over
again through what the picture was he's brought up.
Yeah.
Like, that is the completed, and we're going to go into that too. But
yeah.
So this house, this valley house, right? This is mother and father, all-encompassing place that surrounds, right? In the night, we seek the light, as this is the purpose of the circle of time. This is how we coof ourselves, right?
Right.
Live as one who is well esteemed in the hollow between the two mountains of mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
Deep as one who dwells in the valley house and is located between the mother and the father.
Yeah.
And then we have the valley house. You don't have it on your page, but these are those that are advancing straight to the name.
Of course they would be.
And this is Asherah, right? Because that would be the root of Asherah, right? We already know that. Okay,
yep.
Let's get down to the Christ anointing. So this is the revealing that's coming, that these are those that are coming out of the pit. This is now the Meshiach, because that's also part of the apocalypse, right? The revealing of the anointed.
Like they would say, the revealing of the Christ.
The revealing of the Christ. And so we need to break down. We can take the Christ part, and we can extrapolate out what the Christ part is.
Well, and just so that we can show this, to connect the dot, I am going to pull up very quickly. I'm going to have to edit a lot, make small snippets.
Yep.
So it's the revelation, and it says of Jesus Christ, but that's not it.
No.
That is if you have to dig through his name to have that revealed to you what it is.
Right.
Because he was the door to salvation.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to go through the fire of his name to get
exactly
to be pierced.
Because this means rock.
Right. So it's going through the door of being goading and pointing and directing. And the power means in direction of the fire, being fully consumed in the fire, to be pierced through your heart into the knowing of what Father is. That's what his name is released. I mean, and that's not even broad. That's just
a surface
that's
one.
Just a surface
because
one.
It also has the word rock in here.
Right.
And then it's of that revelation, the revealing of.
Right.
I mean, there's
and Zur
Giliana.
is also an adversary too. So this is the door of entering the fire of the adversary, which is the rock, right? Because it's the same. It means the same. If rock is rock, then it still is
the tight and cramped place.
The tight and cramped place of journey in your earth suit is how you enter this door and just journey and be consumed. This is how you are pierced in the knowing.
And it's interesting that the hand of the messenger that brings the revelation of Father to the teachers of light so that they can do the work of the revealing.
Right.
So basically, this is letting us know that all the work, this is the revealing of what Yeshua did for us to make this possible.
That's why when people ask us,
it's not him coming back.
No.
I know, but I'm just saying the revealing of the work of the door. That was your salvation from the beast nature, the rock upon which you stand on, which means you have a firm foundation that can't be shifted in sand, right?
As his stone rolled away, so will yours.
Exactly, to reveal the anointed.
Absolutely. So no one's, we have some work to do, and as we have had to do, because Armageddon has been we've been battling for a very long time.
Yes, we have.
But a lot of people have been distracted by the bling of the mall, and I mean no disrespect. We have some amazing people on our site, and I mean no disrespect. I'm just saying the majority of the world has been lied to, and they've been distracted. It's very sad. It achens my heart. But nevertheless, we're all given choice. But our job is we're trying to release is what we can when we can.
And the last thing I want to show on this one is the word no. Did you see this? This is the word no. It's yada, but how often? We don't see this very often. Look at that. That's on the prefix of yada.
Right.
To intimately know.
Right.
The fire.
The fire, right.
Through mother and father that have been connected.
Right. Humility.
Connecting you to the fire.
Yeah. Humility is connected to meekness through the walk of fire.
So that you will know.
Yep. So you will know. That's what.
Know what the whole purpose of the door was.
Yep.
Right here. Dalet. Yep. Know what the door is. Dalet. Yep. To give you the eyes to see the fountain of the deep within you.
Yeah.
Which is those who are anointed.
Yeah. Mother's sovereignty leads to the Father's sovereignty.
So in other words, this entire book of Revelation is to explain what he provided for us, and it's the roadmap to becoming just like in him, like in his likeness.
Yep.
And that's the thing that the church didn't want people to know, why they made it a scary book and made it full of confusion of the way they translated it, so people would shy away.
Yep.
And they wouldn't dig.
Yep. Well, let's get back to the page.
Yep.
So let's start with the first word. So we have the anointed. And I think it's amazing that the first word for anointed is 4888. So I pay attention to that. And again, for me, when people say that, and I know there's lovely people that are listening and we're sharing with, but numbers are numbers to me, and everything speaks. If all is all, then all is all. And so I can see things, and I know it's many people that see that and go like, wow, I just pay attention to that. Like, it happens too often in our world, and this is our reality. So so 4888, we have anointed.
Yep.
Right.
Well, and then it's a 4 in front of it, so it shows the quadration.
Right.
And that's 4 is Dalet.
Right.
4 is Dalet, and 400 is Tav. Right. The door to the covenant.
Right. And we're not going in. We have some good people that we share with that do the gematria. That's fine. We have to.
Well, they do wonderful by posting on our channel in the comment section.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's
their anointing to help bring that forward in addition to this message.
Yeah, and there's many people. Jeff, thank you.
Yeah.
But we just, otherwise we'd have another 5 pages open, and that's not our calling. But we see what we see, and we share it together as family. Then we can cover much. So
right, it's a collaboration.
Right. So we have in this, though, we have consecration, right, in this word. So we're going to talk about because this is the revealing of the consecrated, because consecrated is the big word.
Yeah. And
so now we have the next word, because it goes to 488A.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have consecrated, right? And it's tied to anointing, just to verify. And then that's from 4886, but we're going to walk down. And then it has a B, right, to anoint, consecrate, portion. Right. And then we see that it's tethered to the 4886. Now we have Meshiach, to smear, to anoint, to rub with oil. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going down from that to tie it together. Now, this is the word Mishi. It's where we get the word Meshiach from. And I can tether this and tie it to it.
Right. Well, it says right there to Meshiach.
Right.
But if you go back up to Meshiach, there's the Yod. Or no, that's not there. That's the root of it.
And we're going to.
So this is the beginning of the anointing right here.
This is the beginning of the anointing. This is the costly garment. This is the price this is building your pearl, and this is tied to Esther 1:9, I believe, about the costly material. So you're building your material, but I wanted to bring this in here because this is the drawing out language.
Because of Moshe being drawn out of the water.
Right.
Masha.
And we're going to bring Moshe into this.
And it's the waters and the fire.
Right.
That give you power.
Right. And so we can to tie this in, though, you probably have the verses coming up there.
Ezekiel, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're just going to go through these because I love putting the verses in there because I covered it with fine silk. So this is what you're drawing out. It was like, what am I building, right? Fine linen, silk, and embroidered cloth. So we were talking about the costly garments and just these 2 verses, Ezekiel, fine silk and fine linen, embroidered cloth. Okay? Now we're going to we're not going to refer to Esther 1:6, but this is where the pearl is. And it's talking about drawing out. Then we have Masha. And it's interesting that this word is actually the mirror of Hashem.
Yes, it is.
So pull out, you could actually say that if it's draw out, and if you put a mirror here, draw out the name.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we are. You are the name. Like, so when we're looking for the name, you are the name. So you draw yourself out.
Well, you draw yourself right there. It shows. Draw yourselves out of the waters of chaos.
So in this,
through the consuming fire that will be revealed. You.
Right. So pull out the name of Revelation, for it's the root of Moshe, the mirror of Hashem, the name. Draw or deliver yourself out of mother's chaotic water, the world, by entering into her safe harbor of calm waters, right? This is like Shabbat Shalom,
Right, exactly.
So mother's purpose lesser water by entering her womb, right? Incubation, metamorphosis, we mature. And this goes right back to, again, Harmagito, right? To be weaned and ripened, Gimel. We were talking about that. So you're weaned and ripened and this is part of the parable, entering back into mother, because the only way to get to father is by entering her door, because father's door is hidden in the womb of mother.
Exactly.
It's not an outside thing.
And that's the process of being born again.
Right. So you enter that door, and I don't mean to be graphic, but you're entering that door of mother's womb, but then inside, in your own inside, there is a hidden chamber in there that reveals father's door. Macro, micro. Okay? So in this place of mother, we are fully consumed through the revelation. Okay? And I put this in here. So now we have, this is actually from the Menorah file, because we're talking about earlier about the consecrated ones.
Well, and I showed you the light.
Right.
Menorah in the New Testament, because the mem was no longer needed.
Right.
Because in the light, you've consumed all the water.
So we'll go again. So Menorah. So we know that, what you were just saying, well, the light. So we have, it's connected to the beam, the yoke, right? And it's all connected. So, because that's all connected to consecrated ones. And I believe it's even connected to the 7 heads with the menorah, right? And we're going to get into that a little bit later on because it's talking about Leviathan is connected to the 7 heads. And that's also connected to the Pleiades, because the Pleiades connects to Amos, and it's talking about the necklace, and it's talking about, and we'll get into that too, but they're all connected, and so we got to tether that together. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
Well, and then the menorah is connected to the chakras.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just go through the consecrated ones, because we're already talking about that, so we can see, because the crown, these ones that they say in Revelation, that they're coming out crowned, right? The locusts are crowned, okay? And so, but what's the crown, right? The consecrated. And so this is the prince, this is the one occurrence. And we can see that right in this one verse, if we want to go into this, that your guardsmen are like swarming locusts.
Right, I see that.
And it's a pretty cool verse.
I can also see right here, though, this consecrated ones. It's the beginning of menorah, but it has a zayin in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You are the sword and plow on the inside.
You are, absolutely.
You've cut off that doesn't serve you any longer, and you've plowed up the fallow ground of your inside so that the seeds could be planted to raise you up.
Right.
Through the spiritual manna, because it's memnu.
Yeah.
To raise you up from being poor and destitute to be a first fruit leader.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's directly connected to menorah. And I didn't put it in this file, but we've already gone through that. But anyway, so we can just go through this a little quickly here so we're just trying to show people, right? Dedication, consecration.
Yeah, to be a Nazarite.
Right? Now we have concentrate, and now we have crown, right?
And
it's interesting because this is connected to, even its own definition, unshorn locks. And I put that in there for purpose to highlight it, because we miss things that we're not, because if we don't know and if we don't do our work, then we can have someone else direct us in a way that could, like, well, okay, but I want to shed some light on some things to say, have you considered this? So I put in here, just on the English definition, what is unshorn? And it means a person's hair not cut. So
there we go.
Now we have unshorn hair, right? Not cut. Hairy, bushy, thick, woolly, fleecy, long-haired, uncut, right? Tangled.
Well, a lot of people are experiencing that with the lockdown. Well, I haven't had a haircut in a year and a half.
But again, it's only a frequency, because let's see what this is. So really, it's talking about really the consecrated ones, right? And so I want to tether this to this, because now we can take a word here, because we can bring in devil. And because devil really means, right, we can see it's really from shaggy. And it really roots out this is where we get the word just for a dirt devil. All it means is a twisting, right? It's a turning. Now, it is tethered to afraid, but really, this is where to be calm in the storm, because if you know that you're the storm, what are you fearing?
But I do want to add on here, though, that everything on this side of those little double colons is what King James translated this to be.
Absolutely.
So the King James authors of the translation took something here,
right,
and then made horribly afraid, fear, hurl as a storm, a tempestuous.
Right.
You know, it's they translated that.
Right. All is it really in that word, in the frequency of Father's language, the Sheen Ayin Resh. I could see why it's a fright, because whoever this head is, this all-knowing Resh, he's a fire.
Of course, this is the Seraphims that are coming.
Right.
They're really friends and companions to you as shepherds.
Right.
But if you don't know that,
right,
you know, it could cause you to fear because your beast ego is going to be activated.
Right. So we can look at the English word in this and we can say, you know, okay, but someone's defined this through their lenses of what their limited or greater potential was in their discernment. But so, and we don't take it out. That's why we show this. We'll show it. But every time I look at the higher frequency, which is the keys to the abyss, the Sheen Ayin Resh is saying, this is a burning one. He's a father.
That's
right.
Awake.
That's fully awake. And so this devil, this is a tornado. This is a whirling fire, and that's why they put devil in there, because we're going to go down to why. And even in the bottom, it's like the 8175, because we're just rooting down. I'm not pulling it from here. I'm just from the roots.
Yeah.
To be acquainted, to bristle, and now we're going into the hair, to why the disheveled, right? Because this is really, it's right in the 8181. This is where we get the word devil from, disheveling.
Right. And that totally makes sense. Devil
is just really.
So they would take the sheen out and just leave devil.
Right. You're disheveled really means you're the door of Ish, the door of fire that's been revealed, right? It's the
right, and there's the fire right there.
Right. And so that's really what a devil is. It's just you've entered the door of fire. You're all consumed.
So the fire reveals who the heads are.
Right.
Who the first fruits
are.
And
fire means light. We've rendered it down to make it a crackling fire. No, it means you are light. These are the whirling ones. And this is why I put this in here too. This is why we have the whirling dervishes. That
I freaking love that picture. I love that picture, the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
It's telegraphing a lot.
The spirit, and they go right to left. I've already done a full study on this, and the spirit had me look at this, and I went and watched a documentary, and I just fell in love with the heart of what they were doing. It's part of galactic creation, and they're representing. It's very mystical what they do.
Spiral.
And they're spiraling as a galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
They are a micro to the macro, and they are spinning in a revolution of becoming exactly what these would be called dervishes. They're disheveled, but the disheveling is in order.
Right.
Disheveling means an order and a representation of headship that is rightly discerning, and they are spinning. And this is this same word, it goes through, but even when Elijah, right? The whirlwind that came down.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same. It's used throughout. But I wanted to just point out what these devils are, right? These whirling dervishes that are disheveled, but yet they do it in such grace. And so I just even wanted to look at what is going on with these spinning whirlwinds of why these dirt devils are tornadoes, because these that are coming back in the earth. I've had many dreams about the whirling. Now, maybe metaphorical, but for whatever reason, there's a twisting. And it's the dance of what and who we are that's being expressed, and this is an expression. So we can look in this right here. We see that it means one who wears wool. It's the practice of the remembrance of El, God.
Mm-hmm.
In Arabic, it means purity.
Yeah.
The Sufi is one who wears wool on top of purity.
Wow.
That's what it is. So we don't be spooked by these dancers that, they're, you know what? We just need to love and see their heart. Because if you
See
go,
the beauty that's in it.
it's incredible. And so if we go down a little further here, we can just read this out, right? Both in Sunni and Shia, right? But if we're looking, and this would actually even allow us to bond with family that are in this, to say, I'm not spooked by any religion because I can see beyond the walls of religiosity.
Well, usually those who are of the mystic path, because every religion has a mystic path, right? It's religion that binds. It's the mysticism, the mystic side of what they believe that sets them free.
Right.
And that's what we're coming in agreement to. Not the religious side, but the freedom side.
Right.
Because everything is dual. In duality, you're going to have something that binds and sets you free.
Right. I love how they put this, the practice of a religion to the super category level. Right?
I saw that.
Right? Right? Through simultaneously fulfilling, right?
Fulfilling duties and finding a way of means of striking a route through the narrow gate.
Through the narrow gate.
In the depth.
Right.
Amok.
Right.
The depth of the soul.
Unprisonable.
Unprisonable spirit.
Right. And we're talking about
onto the divinity.
Right. Exactly. And so they are spinning their way out of the pit, as we are too. We're just doing it our way. Their expression is beautifully done.
And they're expressing the toroidal field and activation of the Merkabah.
They're a Merkabah spin.
They're a Merkabah.
And they're going right to left because it's always right-hand ascension. The right is up, the left is down. Mother shows us how to ascend the mountain to establish it, so Father can say, come down the left-hand path.
Right.
And that's why.
And actually, it's drawing the left-hand path down to us. So we meet in the middle, 0 point.
One and the same. Absolutely. We're meeting in the middle. Absolutely. So let's just go through this. There's a lot of information. And it's there. Wow. There it is right there, right? And so it's talking about abandoning one's egos, right? This is sought through the abandoning of one's ego.
Exactly.
Right? Our personal desires by listening to the music, focusing on God, L.
Yes.
Spinning one's body in repetitive circles, sorry. Which has been seen as a symbolic imitation of planets in the solar system orbiting the sun. How beautiful is that?
That is incredible. If we just took the time to not be scared about the differences and looked with the intent of finding that which is beautiful, we could have unity in the world.
Right. So, go down to the next one so people can see.
Yeah. Right. I'm saying it, the mystic.
As the mystic.
Yeah, they all have it.
Right.
If we're willing to look and dig deep and go through the door of our heart, the inward man, that is going to be revealed to us.
Right. And so, and it goes down. So these are ones you must be trained in this. But we are doing our own dance. This is our proverbial bear dance. We're doing the bear dance right now because this is the twin bear dance we're doing, and this is what they're doing.
The purification of the inner self.
The purification of the inner self, right?
The spiritual aspects,
right?
Of
the
religion.
Tombstone of the ego, right? In the symbolism.
Where is that? Oh, down here. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So it represents ego's shroud. By removing his black cloak, you're spiritually reborn to the truth.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
That's so beautiful.
By holding his arms crosswise, right? He represents the number 1.
Aleph.
Thus testifying to God's unity. Right?
I and my Father are one.
Right. While willing with his arms open, his right arm is directed to the sky, ready to receive God's
beneficence.
Beneficence, right. Which is, right. There you go. Ready to receive God's beneficence. So this is a below and above, right?
Yeah, because the right arm is directed to the sky,
right,
and then with his left hand
to the earth,
turned towards the earth. Right. Oh my gosh, it's drawing heaven to earth, on earth as it is in heaven.
And this is a devil,
right?
I mean,
no. But this is what was projected upon us. That was a lesser reality, so we would fear these things instead of seeing the beauty. It's the
dance of fire. A devil is the one who dances in the dance of fire because this is poetry.
I know it is.
It's the dance of poetry. So a devil to me is like, if I would say I'm a devil? No, because that's English. I would say I'm a dancer and I'm a poet and I'm pointing to above, pulling it down below, and I'm walking my walk and dancing through the dance of fire, expressing the spirit within me. through the ascension process to become one at the top of Mother's Mountain, that I'd be a sign, signal, and beacon representing there, waiting with anticipation to encounter my Father so I may come down.
This last bit is really beautiful.
You want to read it?
If I can. So talking about this Sama ritual, the Samazan conveys God's spiritual gift to those who are witnessing the Sama.
Mm-hmm.
Revolving from right to left around the heart, the Samazan embraces all humanity with love. The human being has been created with love in order to love. And this is Rumi. All the quotes I've seen of Rumi.
Mm-hmm. All loves are a bridge to the divine love.
Yet those who have not had a taste of it do not know. Exactly. That's that yada. That's when I was showing you that word in the New Testament that we just looked at. The knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Connected to the keys. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, the language of light.
There's a lot in this. I highly recommend it. And we're finished with this teaching. It's already, it's gone as far as I want it to go for this one. But again, we can go on and on and on with making this just a teaching. But I just wanted to say, I thought it was
But this is why we teach, ending this, to transmute the knowledge he has received to the next generation of students.
Absolutely. That is
so you have been taught, and you turn and you teach.
Right.
The way of divinity.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring some clarity on these words, and then we're going to go into Armageddon. In this picture right here, we're going to address this whole picture tomorrow, and what it is. And so hopefully that was just Armageddon and Apocalypse. That's all we really shed light on, was just that.
Oh, there was a lot more light shed.
Right, and the bottomless pit. I know. But so we can take the spooky out of that. So have hope, have love. It's going to be amazing in the higher narrative.
Because we're creating it.
Right, and the greater potential of what this is going to be absolutely something the world has never seen before.
We're on the front row seats.
So anyway, so be blessed and shalom, shalom.